people might remember an episode from their favourite cartoon show, while others don't. Imagine an episode that aired just once and then disappeared without a trace. No real proof it ever existed, just rumours online and a few clips of the forgotten media. The animation feels off, the characters act strangely. Why were these episodes erased? And what was the reason behind them? Today, we're going to talk about some of the most disturbing lost cartoon episodes. Let's start off light. I'm sure many of you have heard about the very popular animated show called Bluey. Well, this lost episode is actually from a 2016 pilot. A pilot episode is the first version of a show that's made to test if people will enjoy it. If the pilot does well, the show might be picked up and turned into a full series. Sometimes the first episode of a show is just a polished version of the pilot, but sometimes the pilot never airs, like in the case of this Bluey test episode, which was considered inappropriate. Let's watch and see why.
Big girl swing! I want to go on the big girl swing.
How about you go on this one?
No, not the chainy one.
Okay.
I want to go high as the clouds.
All right.
You're not pushing high enough.
Okay.
Not high enough.
All right.
Higher.
Okay.
Push me higher, Daddy.
All
I
right.
want to go high as the sky. I can't see. Sorry. Push me all the way round.
Okay.
Higher.
Look, Bluey.
Again.
So you might be wondering why this episode was considered unsafe for kids, and it's because Bandit wasn't really watching how high Bluey was going. Imagine if she let go while she was upside down or way up in the air. It didn't air because it showed irresponsible behaviour from a parent, but I also found it kind of disturbing because Bandit doesn't act like his usual cheerful self. He seems really disconnected, and that gives the whole scene a weird, unsettling feeling. Now, you may or may not have heard of a show called Teletubbies. Teletubbies is a children's show about 4 colourful, silly characters. They speak in funny voices, play games, and watch videos on the screens on their stomachs. The show is fun and strange, and it's made to entertain very young kids. But one episode, called The Lion and the Bear, took the show's weirdness way too far.
This Teletubbies episode scared kids growing up. It's called The Lion and the Bear.
I'm the scary lion.
And it first aired in episode 11 of the original series. What was supposed to be a magical event for toddlers turned into something that felt more like a horror short. In the scene, a strange wooden bear on red wheels rolls out into Teletubbyland. She speaks in a soft but eerie voice, calling herself the bear with brown fuzzy hair, and hides behind trees, whispering that she's hiding from something. Moments later, a wooden lion on blue wheels appears, introducing himself as the Scary Lion, and begins stalking the hills, growling and searching for the bear. The music playing during the scene is upbeat, but it has this weird, off-putting vibe that feels way too creepy for a kid's show. After airing, the BBC was flooded with complaints from parents who said the scene scared their kids. The lion's aggressive voice, the bear's whispery tone, and the strange music created a vibe that felt more horror than children's TV. Eventually, the BBC changed the scene to make it more lighthearted. They added cartoon sound effects, changed the music, redubbed some of the dialogue to sound happier.
This episode definitely turned Teletubbies into a horror show for many kids who saw it when it first aired. It didn't help the theories that there's something darker and more mysterious happening in the show, especially for people who are already creeped out by the black and white Teletubbies and the strange ideas that surround them. Have you ever heard of The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack? This used to be one of my favourite shows on Cartoon Network. Flapjack is about a young boy who lives in a talking whale named Bubby and dreams of going on wild adventures with his grumpy pirate friend, Captain Knuckles. Flapjack explores strange places and ends up in weird, sometimes creepy situations, so it's not that surprising that the show had an episode that was banned and is now lost.
Don't drink out of the ocean, Knuckles! The water makes you crazy! Look at me! I've been drinking it for hours! You don't look crazy to me! Good news, sir. You have the plague. But why is that good news? Because now I can conduct medical experiments. You need to grow up. Grow up? I'm 38 years old.
It's no surprise this episode was banned. The characters in it look super gross and really creepy. It's honestly disturbing. I never saw this episode myself, probably because when I watched the show, it was only the reruns, not when it first came out. But this episode is definitely one of the creepiest things I've seen from Flapjack. Now let's talk about an older show you might remember. It's called The Powerpuff Girls. This was a lot of people's favorite cartoon in the 90s. It's a show about 3 superpowered girls who fight crime and protect their city. They were created by a scientist and use their powers to stop monsters and villains from taking over Townsville. But I never would have guessed there was such a creepy and even disrespectful episode in a show like this.
The Powerpuff Girls. Seeing as the Powerpuff Girls show was cancelled on CW pretty recently, I figured we'd dive into the scandal vaults. The animated Cartoon Network classic kicked off in 1998. We have Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup, a trio I grew up watching myself. It's a classic. Right off the bat, it's an odd show. There's a dude with lots of sugars, lots of spices, and, of course, everything nice. It gets pretty wacky at times, like most cartoons, but the show crossed a line come season 5. The episode titled See Me, Feel Me, Know Me was meant to be a fun musical episode where the Powerpuff Girls meet a magical gnome, he causes trouble, the girls assemble to save the city of Townsville, all that good stuff. The 11th episode was pulled after originally airing on YTV Canada. It was not allowed on US airwaves because the metal beams in the destroyed buildings resembled crosses. And of course a random citizen just happened to look a lot like Jesus. Yeah, more than fair. If you want to see the Lord's work yourself, the episode is still available online on some platforms.
This episode tries to make weird comments about religion. Not only is the episode creepy overall, it's also kind of offensive. It doesn't feel like it fits the usual style of the show at all. Now, here's a show I used to watch sometimes, Wonder Pets. Have you seen it? Wonder Pets is a kids' show about 3 classroom animals that go on adventures to save other animals in trouble. They travel in a flying boat and always work together as a team, singing songs and solving problems along the way. It wasn't one of my favorites, but I did watch it occasionally. Most of the episodes are innocent and sweet, but there's one that became lost over time because of the weird and awkward language it used.
Poor puppy. He really has to go. Everybody's gotta go sometime. Sooner or later, everyone has to go. Wee wee. Pee pee. Tinkle.
It's just really strange and uncomfortable hearing these sweet characters say things like wee wee. No wonder the episode was taken off the air and became forgotten, because it honestly gets pretty close to being inappropriate. Now let's talk about a show we've mentioned a bunch of times before, and I think you know which one I'm talking about. It's called Mr. Meaty. As you already know, this was a super weird and creepy puppet show. A lot of its episodes became lost because they were either inappropriate or just too disturbing, like the one we're about to watch now. Let's see if you agree.
The episode Crispy Hand is so disturbing that it was cancelled and never allowed to air it on television. The short episode begins with Josh taking an order from this emo girl, who tells him that she likes her burger with extra red liquid. Turned on by this, Josh then tells Parker to make it with extra red liquid and offers her a tour to see how they make the burgers at Mr. Meaty. She agrees, and Josh shows her a spinning meat chub, a unalive skinned monkey, a microwave, and other things I can't show on TikTok. While introducing Parker to her, she somehow slips and drops her hand into a deep fryer, causing it to get cooked and crispy.
Whoa.
Josh then states that it's not a big deal since it happens all the time. And to further prove his point, Parker also drops his hand into the deep fryer. Things get worse when Parker suddenly begins to eat his fingers and claims that it tastes good. Curious about this, the emo girl also begins to eat her fingers, and even offers Josh a bite, who just watches in shock. The episode then ends with Parker and the emo girl high-fiving with their crispy hands.
Episodes like this one really make people wonder how this show was even allowed to be for kids. The characters are already creepy and hard to look at, but then they start eating someone's hand, taking the story to a really dark place. Now here's one you might guess right away. We're talking about SpongeBob SquarePants again. This is an episode I actually saw myself, and it really scared me. Some of you may have seen it too. It starts off normal, but then it gets really scary. If you're not afraid of bugs, then maybe it's not that bad for you. But for many kids, this episode became a total nightmare. It had to be taken off the air after parents complained that their children were literally screaming at the images. Let me show you what I mean.
What is that thing?
I'm coming, Patrick!
I seriously can't handle looking at or hearing the sounds of Wormy. Some of you might be thinking, what's the big deal? It's just a butterfly. But you don't understand how scary its face and the sounds it makes are, especially for little kids. It's just way too creepy. Did you know that cartoons were originally made for adults? This next show is definitely the oldest one on the list, and some of you may have never even heard of it. It's the Betty Boop series, about the iconic character Betty Boop. But not many kids today know about the actual show. The episode I'm going to show you is lost, not just because it's old, but because it was considered inappropriate even back then. Let me remind you that this show is from the 1930s, so it was one of the very first cartoon series ever, and it wasn't made for children. The episode starts off pretty normal, with Betty Boop trying to pull a tooth out of a clown who already looks kind of creepy, but she keeps pulling and struggling, and they start walking around the room.
Don't make me laugh.
Then she uses laughing gas, which is one reason this episode got banned, because it was seen as an inappropriate substance for a cartoon. Suddenly, both of them start laughing in a really creepy way. Things keep getting weirder and weirder, and we're probably supposed to be seeing things from their point of view, since they're acting strange because of the gas. Real people show up for some reason and start laughing too, and then even a bridge starts laughing. The cars have faces and make weird noises while they laugh. So yes, this episode is definitely disturbing, and I totally understand why it was banned. Well, that's all for today's video, peonies. If you liked it, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what other lost episodes you want me to talk about next. Don't worry, there are plenty more disturbing and forgotten episodes out there that we will be talking about soon. Have a great day, and always stay safe.